There are more slaves today than ever before in the history of mankind. Every 30 seconds, someone is forced into human trafficking for commercial sex or labor.
Human trafficking is a form of modern-day slavery where people profit from the controlled exploitation of others. Force, fraud, or coercion is used to deceive the victim into involuntary servitude, debt bondage, or slavery. Human trafficking is the fastest-growing criminal industry in the world. The average age of trafficking victims is 12 to 14 years old. As clients continue to seek fresh product, this average age continues to grow younger. 27 million. That's the number of estimated men, women, and children in bondage globally. Hundreds of thousands of people are trafficked over international borders every year. Even with the extremely large number of people getting victimized, very few traffickers are ever convicted. In the United States alone, nearly 2.5 million people are victimized. Children under the age of 18 now constitute the largest number of trafficking victims in the United States. At least 100,000 people are victimized per year through child exploitation. Some say that number may be as high as 300,000, but this invisible crime has thousands of unreported cases every year. The state of Florida has the third highest rate of reported cases in the nation, right behind California and Texas. All of these statistics and numbers represent the stories of the personal lives of 27 million individuals, 27 million family members, 27 million people that need someone to say that they are ready to act because they have had enough.
One of the biggest misconceptions about human trafficking is that the workers choose to live in that kind of lifestyle. The truth of the matter is that no one chooses to be trafficked. Nobody chooses to live in a life full of oppression and abuse. Every individual is considered a victim, and by law, this is mandatory for those under the age of 18. The victims are tricked into human trafficking by a system of manipulation and psychological warfare, and anyone can become a victim of trafficking anywhere and at any time. Human trafficking can happen anywhere, but especially at places called hotspots that are considered more dangerous than others. These places include truck stops, hotels, nail salons, massage parlors, and even in private house parties. Trafficking is conducted by all types of people. There is no specific profile for a tracker or pimp. Traffickers can be someone of any gender, race, or ethnicity, and can range from being a complete stranger to a family member. The grooming process these individuals use isn't always just a stereotypical white minivan stopping on a street and stealing someone right from a sidewalk. It's more often a mental game of luring someone to trust the trafficker over time, which places themselves in a position of ultimate vulnerability. They use a broad range of deceptive manners to lure their victims into becoming trapped under their power. The traffickers will use psychological deceit. Pimps will pose as a boyfriend that a girl will fall in love with, or an employer that promises a fake job. Traffickers use the tactic of making a person feel loved and accepted, and this could be for the first time in the victim's entire life, creating a situation of trust and vulnerability. All of these instances are examples of ways that victims are tricked. Therefore, no matter where you are or who you are, you could become a victim of human trafficking.
Most people have no idea what to do or where to begin if they suspect they have come in contact with a victim of human trafficking. Some may be so unsure that they end up doing nothing, but doing nothing is the worst thing someone could possibly do. The police force is relying on us to be their eyes and ears to this massive problem, because without reports, they cannot get an accurate read on where human trafficking is going on in our area and what quantity. We must help equip the task forces with information they need so they can further investigations and break these victims out of bondage. So how do we do this? If the suspected victim is in immediate danger or will be put in immediate danger if you left, call 911 and the National Trafficking Hotline as soon as you can. Try to have as many specific details about the situation as possible without putting yourself in danger. If the victim is under the age of 18, call the Department of Children and Families to report abuse. If the victim is not in immediate danger, provide the victim with the 24-hour human trafficking hotline and report the tip. If you are not sure if the situation is human trafficking or not, it is always better to be safe and report it. Because not acting on what you've seen is equivalent to doing nothing at all and turning a blind eye to what could be right in front of you.
Human trafficking is a daunting problem. Most people don't do anything to help because they simply don't know where to begin tackling it. Well, I have good news for you. The movement has already begun. There's already an army rising up determined to abolish this form of modern-day slavery. Groups like the A21 Campaign, the Polaris Project, and the International Justice Mission are all fighting hard around the world to rescue and house victims while educating people on this topic. January 11th was declared the International Human Trafficking Awareness Day, and right here in South Florida, we have Hope for Freedom. This organization is making this tragic problem known in our local area while providing a safe house for rescued victims. Florida is taking a stand against human trafficking. In the recent years, many laws have been passed dealing with victims' rights and getting strict punishments in place for people involved in the trafficking of a person. In 2012, the Safe Harbor Act was passed, which allows children that are rescued from commercial sexual exploitation to receive services as opposed to being placed in juvenile delinquency. In 2013, the governor of Florida signed 2 bills that deletes any crime a victim was forced to commit while they were being trafficked and keeps a victim's record private. And since 2004, anyone who engages or attempts to engage in human trafficking activities or who benefits financially commits a felony in the 2nd degree. The United States Congress is also taking action by passing the Trafficking Victims Protection Act of 2000, which is updated and reauthorized every 2 years. These are huge steps in the right direction to fight human trafficking. The fight to end it has begun.
Human trafficking is happening. Every day, girls are stripped of their innocence. Boys are forced to work so their traffickers don't kill their family members. Brothers and sisters are beaten, and sons and daughters are taken and scared. People like you and I find themselves in situations they never hoped or dreamed for themselves, and they need someone to act and declare that the human trafficking they're trapped in will be abolished. It's time to say enough. Enough of this awful crime against millions of people. Enough of this dark problem hiding in the shadows of our brightest cities. Enough of standing on the sidelines wishing you could play a part in the abolition movement of modern-day slavery, because you have a part and you have a place. You can be the voice proclaiming freedom for the victims who can't speak for themselves. You can be the breakthrough that so many are looking for. You can be the light throughout this dark problem. There's 27 million people enslaved, and you can be their voice fighting for their freedom. You can make a difference by simply educating yourself further about this crime and helping spread the news. You can bake cookies and give profits to your local safe house. You can participate in garage sales raising money for anti-human trafficking agencies. The possibilities are endless, and you can do something. Every movement begins with a moment. This movement can begin in your area with your moment where you decide that you have had enough. So, have you had enough?